to hand out the milk at the Indianapolis 500 to the winning driver. I don't know where to go from here now.
In Indiana, there are robots milking our cows.
Yes, there is.
My mind is blown.
We're the ones who came up with winner's drink milk.
What would you say the biggest misconception about farmers in Indiana is? From South Bend to Evansville and everywhere in between, this is Get In, the show focused on the Hoosier State and the incredible stories happening here today. I'm Nate Spengel, founder of Get Indiana, and I will be your host for today's conversation. Hey everyone, quick pause in the action to introduce you to Flutterman Von Rees, a true hidden gem in Indiana, especially for all you watch aficionados out there. Founded by an Indiana State graduate from Batesville, this family-owned brand has deep Hoosier roots dating back to the 1830s. They are even proud members of the Society of Indiana Pioneers, which I didn't know existed, but is a sweet organization. They are based in Indy and are redefining luxury watches. Meticulously crafted in Kokomo by a certified watchmaker and his apprentice, the designs blend classic elegance with a modern twist. Don't miss their Chase Briscoe Race Day VIP Experience giveaway, an incredible opportunity for race fans. Chase is an awesome NASCAR driver from Mitchell, Indiana. You're going to be learning more about him soon. Follow Flutterman Von Rees to explore their stunning collections and join their journey to greatness. Today I'm joined by Brooke Williams, the Director of Communications at the American Dairy Association Indiana, a proud Zionsville native and mom. Brooke brings over a decade of experience to ADAI, where she bridges the gap between dairy farmers and Hoosier communities with stories that educate and inspire. I'm also joined by Abbie, this year's veteran milk presenter at the Indianapolis 500 and a full-time dairy farmer at her dairy farm in Noble County. She's a passionate advocate for agriculture and a mom of two future dairy queens. Abbie shares her farm's daily life with thousands online and in person. And today we're going to be talking all things dairy. Ladies, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having us.
I am pumped up about this one. We are going to have a spectacular time talking all things Indiana and American dairy, from the state fair to the Indianapolis 500 to small rural farms in northern Indiana. And I'm really, really excited about it. And I think the story starts, Brooke, you're a Zionsville born and raised native here to central Indiana. And I don't know for any listeners out there, Zionsville isn't necessarily chock full of dairy farms. How did you end up in the milk business?
So I moved to Zionsville in third grade. My dad, he's retired now, but was a research scientist. So we actually moved all around the country, staying on he ran different research stations. So a lot of agriculture growing up, it was more crops than animals. Growing up in Zionsville, but I actually went to college out of state in Nebraska and Kansas. So I felt like my roots were always kind of, for a very bad pun, but like rooted in dairy or rooted in agriculture in some way. I took this on more of the communication side. I have a master's degree in English and literature. So there was that communication stuff. And growing up in Indiana, always knew, more than corn, right? Like that's what we say.
There's so much more than corn. We've got milk.
So I felt like it was kind of this mix of growing up with my dad as an influence in ag and then the communication stuff. And so I've now been working for Indiana's dairy farm families for 11 years. Have learned a lot about dairy that I didn't know ahead of time. I didn't know that so many farms were in the state. Now I do. And it's a really cool way that I can talk about dairy farmers like Abbie and help tell their stories and get them to talk more about what they're doing on the farm. It's been a really great run.
Oh, I love it. Okay. We're gonna jump. I feel like no one just wakes up. I don't wake up today and say, you know what, I'm gonna go start a dairy farm. So I'm assuming, Abbie, that there is maybe some family history around dairy cows.
So
can we hear about it?
I grew up on a dairy farm myself in South Whitley, Indiana. So my husband and I were the fourth generation, raising the fifth generation on his family's dairy farm in Kendallville. So I always say milk is in my blood because it truly is. I am so passionate about the dairy community. I love it so much. I love the cows. That's one of my favorite things. And now I get to watch my daughters, love the cows. We all fight over them. I feel like we're like those birds off of Finding Nemo where we're like, mine, wanting to name all of them. So we're having so much fun doing that.
Well, that's an interesting piece that with dairy cows, how long does a dairy cow stay on a farm?
Honestly, it really depends health wise. I mean, we do our best to take as much care of the cows as we can. I mean, we want them to live as long as they can. I have some that have been 12 years old, 15 years old. I mean, it really just depends on the health of the animal.
All right. And that's like an interesting piece to dairy farming versus like traditional, beef farming.
Yeah.
It's like the cows that are here on a beef farm.
Yeah, I would say probably.
If you're growing cattle,
growing beef.
If you're growing cattle to feed people,
Yeah.
like, they're not going to be around for 12 years.
Yeah.
So when you have a cow for 12 years, you do get to build like a relationship.
Yeah.
Not really, but like it's borderline to the point of pet.
Yes.
Where it's like they probably have names. Do they have names?
Yes. I have some that have names. Actually, on my shirt here, this was Leona. She's no longer with us, but I have her daughters. I have Loretta. I have Grace. I can go down the whole family line. I keep track of the generations.
Amazing. I love that. Well, through growing up, was there ever a point where you were like, I don't want to do this? Like, or did you know from the beginning, like dairy farming was your thing?
At one point, I think I wanted to be like an ag teacher because I was involved in FFA. I loved FFA. Any part of the agriculture industry, I probably would have wanted to stay a part of, but the cows just kept pulling me back. I couldn't get away from the cows. I love them so much.
I love that. Okay. So for those that don't know about the American Dairy Association Indiana, ADAI for short, or we're going to call it Indiana Dairy.
That works.
For those that don't know about Indiana Dairy, explain what it is and what brought you two together.
Basically, we're the marketing and promotions agency for all Indiana dairy farm families. So the technical side of it, we're a checkoff organization.
What does that mean?
It means that for every 100 pounds of milk that a farmer sells, we get a portion of that for our marketing budget. So through that, we get to do the awesome events like the Dairy Bar at the Indiana State Fair. We get to keep up with the milk tradition at the Indy 500. We get to be in schools talking about the importance of dairy nutrition and why it's so vital to a child's health. With that, we know at the end of the day, our jobs are based upon, telling the stories of the dairy farmers. And really, we want the community to get to know the people behind the amazing dairy products that are being made on their farm, right? So very fortunate when we have a farmer like Abby, who is as passionate as she is, it makes our jobs even easier because, like she said, born and raised to be a dairy farmer, has great stories to tell about her life as a dairy farmer, but also alongside with her husband, Steve, and their two girls doing great things on their farm, incorporating technology. It's all just, brings together a great story, of course, but also these are the things people want to know about dairy farms, right?
And so it would have been the ADA, and I don't know if it was a specific state, but somewhere within that organization were the people that came up with Got Milk.
So we're the local organization, but so you have a milk processor like a Prairie Farms or a Dean's Foods. They also are paying for a marketing promotions agency. So that is who came up with the Got Milk campaign.
So there was an agency, someone had to sit in a meeting somewhere and be like, you know what we need? We need Got Milk. That's right.
I know.
And then it was everywhere. It was in every school. Talk about a home run. Man. Okay.
Yep.
To put it in context for the listeners of what to think about, I just initially go to they're the people that started the Got Milk thing, right?
Yeah.
Marketing the consumption of dairy products.
Yeah, and here locally, we're the ones who came up with Winners Drink Milk. So it's kind of that same
really?
way. Yeah.
Oh, we're going to get into that then. Okay. When you think of Indiana dairy,
Yeah.
is it something that every dairy farmer in Indiana is 100% has to be a part of? Do you choose to be a part of it? How does that work?
I think you can be a part of it if you want to. I mean, what dairy farmer doesn't want to be a part of it? The chance to get, the milk and stuff out there or any dairy product out there. I mean, I'm grateful that we're involved in it because that gets our product out there.
And it kind of got you a pretty cool opportunity.
Yeah. As I say, we got a cool opportunity. I mean, obviously to hand out the milk at the Indianapolis 500 to the winning driver like that. I don't know where to go from here now. What are my next goals?
I mean, yeah. Obviously, the Get In podcast. Come on.
That's true.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I did see one. I had Bob. He's the president of the 500 Festival. And they put on the 500 Festival, I think the 500 Princess.
Yeah.
And the princess is also up there.
Yeah.
And one of the princesses got milk spilled on her in the previous, and it's it was so funny. It's the winner's circle is just a cool place, and that's going to be an incredible experience. So cool. we do have to go into where Winners Drink Milk and that whole campaign came from.
Yeah. So there have been kind of a few rebrandings of our organization over the years. And so the Winners Drink Milk, obviously, at the end of the Indy 500, that's where the milk is really praised as a trophy, as a tradition. And so it was probably 20 years ago, maybe not even that far back, but our CEO now at the time, they were doing a rebranding and just threw it out there of what about Winners Drink Milk? And so now our website is winnersdrinkmilk.com. I mean, that's the hashtag, especially the month of May in Indy. Now we have branded everything with Winners Drink Milk on it. And it's really been fun, of course, to see it locally, but really nationally. And on race day, the Winners Drink Milk message gets out there.
But was it always something that happened? Like, when did the winner of the Indianapolis 500 start drinking the milk, actually?
Yeah, 1936 is when the tradition began. Louis Meyer, who then was the first three-peater at the Indy 500, requested buttermilk. That's what he drank back on the farm. Buttermilk back then, different than what buttermilk is today. It used to be a very sweet, like the cultured cream, making butter. So yeah, all thanks to Louis Meyer. And very fortunate then that it just kind of became a natural tradition at the Indianapolis 500, and one that, the community embraces and our dairy farmers embrace. And we've been very fortunate now for the past 20 years to have our dairy farmers there in Victory Circle, Victory Podium now, presenting that milk to the winning driver.
I mean, that's so. How does the selection process work for the dairy farmer?
So it used to be board members, and now there's an application process that they have to go through, fill out an application. We have a selection committee. You would think that there would be just a line out the door, right, of people that want to hand out the milk. Obviously have to be an Indiana dairy farmer, but they also, Abbie can attest to this, you have to open your farm up to a lot of media, especially leading up to the race.
Yeah.
And there are some farmers that, their livelihood is their cows, their cow comfort, but being in front of media and talking about the cows, not for everyone, right? So it's a big commitment. It's a big deal. And thankfully we have, farmers like Abbie that make it very easy, very natural.
That is like the most, I would say, like stereotypical when you think of farmers. It's like they don't a lot of them don't want the limelight.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Yeah. And you're right. I mean, telling somebody from a small community, even like Kendallville, our rookie farmer this year is from, Hudson, Indiana.
What does rookie farmer mean?
So Abbie is the veteran.
Yes.
So this is technically her third year doing this.
It's a 3-year commitment.
But you got to work up the ladder. So
Yeah.
you start as the rookie elect, you're kind of shadowing, and then the rookie milk presenter hands their bottles of milk to the winning chief mechanic and team owner. And then that next final year
is the veteran.
You're the veteran milk presenter, and that's when you get to give your milk to the winning driver.
Last year you gave it to the chief mechanic.
And the team owner, yes. I was the rookie last year, and it was crazy.
Oh, my gosh.
You're standing behind Victory Circle, and all of a sudden you hear, milk, milk, milk. And you have to go out on Victory Circle after everybody has been siphoning up there to go celebrate. And then I'm looking for the chief mechanic. That was the hardest person to find, was the chief mechanic. So I'm back behind going, chief mechanic. And they finally filter him over to me. And then I went over to Roger Penske. That was the team owner last year. And
yeah.
offered him.
Especially after like a crazy finish. Like last year's was wild.
Yeah.
Came down to like the last 2 laps or whatever. Yeah. And they're like psyched up and they're, and I think there's like timing. I remember we were just talking about Bob. Like I think there was one where they because it's like kiss on the cheek from the princess and then the milk.
Uh-huh.
But I think a couple years back they did milk first and it actually got on the prince. So funny.
Yeah.
And that would be stressful.
Yeah.
But also cool. Like it's a really interesting tradition. So they also like submit their milk requests ahead of time.
Yes.
So you guys have like unlimited milk lined up back like, oh, this person wants 2% or whole milk, fat free, skip, like you got all the milk. What's the most odd milk request you've seen or heard of?
So yeah, we keep it.
Chocolate?
It's always white milk is
We
what.
gotta stick with tradition.
Yeah, we have to
Yeah,
stick
that's
with
fair.
tradition, but we do allow now write-ins. So there are special requests. So, people write in chocolate milk. Ed Carpenter almost every year writes in that he wants buttermilk. And we always have to say, It's not butter. I mean, I would love, and we've offered this, please let me see you drink buttermilk. And if you look like you love it, we will give you buttermilk.
Have you drank buttermilk?
I mean, on accident, like, but not by choice.
Okay.
It's
not
for baking. It's not for drinking.
Yeah, I mean,
anymore.
I always have gravitated towards like the pancake mix that says buttermilk on it, but I don't know why. I have no idea why. But it just seems it's like a marketing thing. It's like it
Yes.
seems appealing.
Yeah.
And that 1936, that was like the original like old school, but a different kind of buttermilk than today. The tradition is coming up on 100 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the race started in 1911, I believe. So 25 years after that, like this has been a big thing.
Yeah.
But then to get it like officialized, like, did you have to get permission? I don't know, when the rebrand for Indiana Dairy came like to be, we want to be winners drink milk. Like how did that whole thing?
It just kind of evolved. I think for us, like we really started to embrace it. The track really started to embrace the tradition of milk, where it was like, this is going to be a thing every single year since then. I think in 1956, and then Tony Holman George in 1975, I believe, like he was very like, this is going to happen. This is going to be something. And that's when our organization got to be involved, where it used to just be like the CEO of our organization. And then it was the board president for a couple years. And then, we made it more official, where it's like, let's have it be a veteran and a rookie, where they really, I mean, we put them through media training. It's really more of a program. And so,
yeah, like looking through like previous milkmen and women.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got Rupert down there in the tie-dyed shirt. It's just, So like I said, we've kind of classed it up a bit, I feel like, over the years.
Classed it up. That's hilarious. And do you take in mind what geographical part of the state you pull? Like it's like, because I think Hudson is northeast
like,
Indiana as well.
Yeah, it's like 20 minutes away from me.
Yeah.
So then it's like, okay, well, we've had a little bit of northeast Indiana. Like now we got to go down to Evansville for a future milk man or woman.
Yeah. Our rookie elect is from like the Evansville area. It really depends.
So rookie elect is like,
So we are going like from top to bottom here. But majority of Indiana dairy farms are in like the central to northern part of the state. So I will say there's been a good handful from that area.
How many dairy farms are there in Indiana?
Just under 700.
Okay, what's been the historical trend of that number?
When I started 11 years ago, there were 1,200 dairy farms in the state. However, you look at me like that.
I don't like it.
The number of cows has stayed the same. So you think about, the generations of dairy farmers. When a farmer has decided they don't want to do it anymore, if they don't have a son or a daughter who's interested, most of the time they're selling their cows just to another farmer down the street. So we have about 175,000 cows in the state of Indiana.
And that number has
basically remained the same.
So big dairy's not coming in here. And
no.
The modern farmer, like the American family, like small American family farm has been like, going down, like decreasing. Like the number of, my dad farm, my grandpa farm, maybe you have another full-time job, but you run the family farm. Like that's changing and evolving and bigger farms are taking over. Like, is it still predominantly family owned in the state of Indiana?
Yes.
Or is there like a big private equity company that just owns all the Indiana dairy cows?
94% of dairy farms are family owned.
Oh,
So
that's really good.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's exciting.
Yeah.
That gives me optimism and hope.
Yeah.
Okay, so 94% of farms in Indiana are family owned. Like, what's the average size? Like, how many cows are on the average size dairy farm?
150.
Look at this.
In Indiana.
She's got it.
150.
Yeah.
So, like, how much milk does one cow produce in a year?
Per day averages 6 to 9 gallons of milk per cow.
Wait, one cow produces 6 to 9 gallons of milk a day.
Yeah.
So this is why you have to be up early in the morning.
Yes.
And then
we get lucky because we're a robotic dairy. So we have robots that milk our cows.
No way.
Yeah. So our cows are ladies of leisure. They can go in and milk when they want. They can go out and eat.
How does that work?
So they have this like little RFID tag that reads. So every time that cow goes into the robot, it knows, okay, if it was Leona, if this is Leona, and it knows like we mapped her udder, and it goes in and it cleans, takes a little strip of milk, and then it starts milking them, and they get a nice little treat when they come in there. Like it's crazy how much agriculture has evolved.
You're telling me that in Indiana there are robots milking our cows?
Yes, there is.
My mind is blown. My grandfather started. He had a dairy farm in Bremen, Indiana, and this would have been like the, oh my gosh, like 40s or 60s, I don't know, a long time ago. He like it built up like 80 cows or whatever, and he was like, the more he had, I mean, big. Small town Indiana Catholic family, so like 5 boys that all had to be out at like 4:30 in the morning, like milking the cows, and then home and milking them in the afternoon. And now there's robots that milk cows.
Yes.
But like, put yourself on like the spectrum of Indiana. Like, how many farms in Indiana would have this level of innovation and technology?
It's not.
I
It's
was
not a
gonna
lot.
say, no.
That's really cool, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes your guys' life. It's no surprise that you are also the veteran milk woman. Like, it's like, oh, they're innovative. They're doing things.
Yeah.
Which I think people are just curious about what happens on farms. Like, it's like, I did a video. Oh my gosh, I was still like just getting going. And my buddy, he owns a farm. They're just like a crop farm. Just a crop. I don't say just a crop. But they don't have any animals. So I don't know. What do you call those?
Just a crop
Yeah,
farmer.
a crop farmer.
He's a crop farmer. He's a row crop farmer. There you go. And I convinced him to let me drive his combine. And I did a video, and like people were astonished, because they had never been up close to it and seen this thing. And granted, I was like in the middle of a field where I could not like wreck it or get close to anything, but it was a cool experience. Like, people are very curious, and like, is that what led you to start posting about your guys' farm?
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, we all have a different story to tell, especially, I mean, obviously sustainability. We want to let everybody know that we take good care of our land. There's a reason we're the 4th generation on this farm. I mean, and then we're hoping to pass it on to the 5th generation and keep it going. And then also animal care. I want people to know we love our cows. I mean, we named them. I named them, not necessarily my husband, but my daughters and I. We have so much fun naming them, and I just want them to know, like, we do love our cows. They have such a wonderful life. They can go in and milk when they want. They can go lay down. I mean, did you know a cow only milks about 16 minutes a day? Like, that's all a cow is in a robot. That's 16 minutes. That's it. Out of 24 hours, 16 minutes. That's all it takes out of her day. And then she's out resting, eating, drinking water, enjoying the fans, enjoying the nice, cool sand or the sprinklers. So it's
I mean,
so
that seems
fun
like
to
a
tell that
pretty
story.
16 minutes of work for
Yeah.
23 hours, 50, whatever, like that of leisure. Like, not a bad life. What's interesting, and like I'd like to talk into, is just the general decline in American milk consumption. In 1980, Americans drank close to 30 gallons of milk a year. And then in 2021, that number is now like 16 gallons. So what does that mean for the Indiana dairy farmer? And then also like the marketing arm of that's like, hey, like, milk is still good. Like, we should drink milk. It's sick.
Sure, like there are numbers that show a decline, but I think the last statistic that I saw, it's like 94% of American households still have milk in their fridge. And so, it is out there, but I think where it comes down to just like innovation on a dairy farm, innovation in dairy products, right? So, you look at the number of households now where cottage cheese is becoming so popular. You have ice cream, you have cheese, you have yogurt, you have smoothies, and, you have so many different ways that people may not be grabbing a glass of milk with every meal, but they're using milk in some capacity, in their diet.
Yeah, and like the amount of dairy products has, I don't know, I can't speculate, but I have to assume like ice cream and cottage cheese, like you get like one of those health influencers talking about like how good cottage cheese is for you, and they're like, oh my gosh, everyone in the world has it. Versus I would say, I don't know how many. Like, I used to, when I was a kid, we would have like a glass of milk for dinner.
Oh, yeah.
When I was 8, with that, wow, I sounded dated right there. But 20 years ago, we would have like a glass of milk for dinner. And now I'm like, I don't know how many, again, I don't have kids. So like, maybe there are still kids that sit down with a glass of milk for dinner, but it's like this ice cream or this product or cheese or this, that, and the other thing. So, okay, that makes sense. So we're consuming milk or consuming dairy.
Just in different aspects,
or like this, have you guys seen this stuff about like the bodybuilders that want like raw milk?
So raw milk in Indiana is illegal.
I was going to say, we cannot sell raw milk.
So we were down in Salem, Indiana, and we were doing a video at the Salem Speedway. And obviously we wanted to do like winners drink milk. And so I was like, oh, could we find like a milk bottle? And like, we did not prepare this ahead of time, but I thought of the idea and someone like, we had to chase it down. We were around talking to people and they were like, oh no, like we're not allowed, like So I just wanted like a bottle of milk, but that wasn't like Nesquik or whatever. Like I wanted like, you know, an old school milk bottle. And somehow it was in a conversation within a diner in this place and that place, we like got this person who had a milk guy, like an Amish farmer. It's like, oh, like we have some people that ask for raw milk. If you talk, but like, don't tell him I sent you. And I was like, I'm not trying to buy milk on the black. Like I just want to like have something. So we went to the gas station and bought Nesquik. I did not go down, but that's how then I did the research into like, oh, you can't just like go to a farm store and sell like raw milk. Because it has to be like pasteurized and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So the life cycle of milk, when one of your cows went Leona?
Yeah, Leona.
When
That was her name. Yeah.
So back in the day,
Yes.
when Leona would go and get into the robot,
Yes.
milk gets milked. What happens to that before it hits
And
the table?
then it gets picked up. So 48 hours, it's in the store after it leaves our farm. And it never touches a human hand. Hands off on everything.
Yeah, it goes right from the robots into
To a milk tank.
to get it, start cooling it off immediately, and then a milk truck comes to their farm, picks it up, takes it to a processing plant, and then they process the milk. Pasteurization, great things. Doesn't do anything to the milk. As far as this is why
the
real
local milk dealers are they're like it's crazy. I did not know there was a market for this, but there's a thing.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, it gets pasteurized.
Yeah.
But then like who are the leading producers of milk to the store? Like you're not selling milk in a way like that ends up in Kroger. But like it does end up in Kroger, but it goes to someone else who buys it from you and they sell it to Kroger.
Yes. Yes. So like we're through our co-op, DFA, Dairy Farmers of America, is who our milk is through. And they have places, so different milk plants. So our milk goes to Huntington, Indiana, where Shinkles, I don't think it's Shinkles anymore, but it goes there and it gets processed there. And then from there, I think it's Country Fresh. And then it gets shipped out to the stores.
And like that's where like Dean's milk or whatever.
Yeah.
comes.
Yeah.
So like what geographic area, like how far away from home do you feel like your milk could make it?
I mean, it usually stays within 150 miles of a dairy farm. Just because you think about, milk traveling in a milk hauler truck, there are enough processing plants kind of all over
Scattered
the state.
around.
That would be a hard business from like a logistics perspective because you don't have that long. Like it's not like soda where you probably have months or whatever it is.
Yep.
Well, actually, I kind of thought like, you get the little like bunny bottle of Nesquik or whatever, and it's like probably a pretty quick timeline even for like that.
Yeah.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
I want to take a minute to tell you about my friends at JC Hart and the opportunity that they are giving to Get In listeners. They are offering summer savings of up to 2 months off of rent at these brand new communities, East Bank in Noblesville, The Edge on the north side of Indy, and Wheelhouse in Westfield. If you're looking for an awesome place to live, you need to hit up my friends at JC Hart. Go to homeisjchart.com/Nate and check out all their cool properties. Or if you know someone that's looking for an apartment here in Central Indiana, send that link to them and JC Hart can take them on a personalized tour. You know me, I'm all about Indiana, and JC Hart is as Hoosier as it gets, and they do some amazing things in our community. And they also wanted me to let you know that they are always looking for awesome people to join their team. They just made the list of best places to work in Indiana for the 13th time. Check out their open positions at homeisjchart.com. Now let's get back into the episode. You talk about co-ops or like small dairy farms. Like what's been the evolution for you all that like is keeping you going? And tell me the stories of like working with Indiana Dairy that like helps out small farmers across the state of Indiana.
Well, like I stated before, every dairy farm has a different story to tell. I mean, obviously, there are so many different ways to milk a cow. Some people, have different parlors. We chose to go.
Wait, there's
Yeah, there's still parlors and stuff like
there's
that.
different ways. Like there's
Well,
different
I
strategies.
mean, you still milk a cow the same way.
okay. I
It's
was
just
like-
in a different facility.
So yeah, we started using the Swiss technique
Yeah,
over here.
yeah.
We started using the
Okay, you can milk a cow the same way. It's just in a different facility. So robots, I mean, that we just wanted to evolve. At the time when we started that process, we had 2 young girls, and we wanted to be able to spend time with them.
You're the 4th generation.
Yes.
Raising the 5th generation.
Yes.
What did the 3rd generation say about robot milkers?
They were a little apprehensive at first, but my husband, I mean, when it got down to numbers, it came to what we would pay an employee. would be what we would spend on a robot payment. So that's kind of how it
And then
was justified.
at some point, you'll own the robot, or like the
Yes,
payment won't
yes.
be. And then it's like, now we have more, because that's the biggest thing with farms that I've seen. Again, I don't know why I say that's the biggest thing. Like I'm some agricultural expert over here, but I've been like learning about it a lot.
Yeah.
And there's the animal science of a dairy farm,
Yeah.
or the horticulture of like a row crop farm. But then there's also like the real estate aspect. And you have to be like an expert in real estate to get more acreage, to be also buying and selling cat. Like there's just so many things you have to know a little bit about.
Yeah.
Like now you have to know about robotics.
Yeah. Actually, my husband does a lot of that. I do little things. I know
Social
how to do
media?
some things.
Like-
yeah. Social
like-
media.
What does the third generation say about social media?
They like social media. They just don't really want to be involved in it.
Classic.
It's
yeah.
like, they're like, that's okay for you. You just keep doing that.
Well, as a farmer, why is it important to you to post on social media and tell your story?
Because I just want people to know how much we love our cows, and like the fact that we get to share. So we've started now with our 4-H organization, like giving back to the community. We have kids that may live in town. They come and they can lease a calf off of us, and they can show it at the local fair. So like, I feel like doing that kind of stuff and just showing how we give back to the community. And then also, with Indiana Dairy, they're helping get our stories out there by doing like the virtual tours and stuff like that. Because like I said, every farm has a different story to tell, and going into schools and helping promote, dairy products and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's just such a nice relationship to have.
If you don't grow up on a dairy farm, it's very hard to start a dairy farm.
Yes.
Or even work on a dairy farm. Or even learn about a dairy farm. Like, it's like, the fourth generation, which is incredible. I think kudos to you all for keeping going, raising the fifth generation. Amazing. I do think that like telling those stories and opening it up for people like me who did not grow up on a dairy farm, I was just lucky enough to have friends that were around 4-H and animals, like let me pretend to be farmer for 1 week out of a year, and while they have to do it for like 52. Are there stories of the impact that exposing non-legacy dairy individuals to farms, like stories of what that's meant? Have they gone on to become veterinarians? Like the work that you all are doing?
Us being able to host like a virtual farm tour, we try and do 3 or 4 of them a year. The average capacity of these students that are joining in, I mean, it's over 3,000 students that tune in every time we do one, just to see what's going on a farm. So Abby has hosted a virtual farm tour for us. And to have just those curious minds of little kids ask the questions that they're not afraid to ask, right? I mean, it's good practice for our dairy farmers to hear those questions, but also because, to your point, I think the percentage of people who have been on a farm, it's like 2% of the American population.
No
like,
way.
You're talking about such a slim number where you grow up down the street from a farm, but you've never taken the time to ask if you can go on the farm, right? And so for us to expose these students K through 12, to why dairy farming is important to the community, what they're doing for the land, what this is doing, overall to the importance of nutrition and health, it's such a great opportunity. So you have those kind of touch points along the way. And just the opportunities that we get to go into schools and to really, it comes down to the partnerships that we have as an organization, who we know in schools, and really finding those dairy advocates that are, aside from the farmers, that are just really passionate about telling great stories and kind of being those key points across the state. It's who we rely on too. And so it's that joint organization and joint partnership to tell the story that I think, the kids, you remember who you meet early on in life, right? And when you're filling out the surveys as a third grader of like, when I grow up, I want to be the 2 most popular answers to that question is a chef and a farmer. Which
No way.
Yeah. And then you have an athlete after that, but it's just, I think it's that curiosity. It's who you see, in your community at a farmer's market. So we always tell them, like, you guys are the cool, like you guys have the cool jobs. And so being able to find those creative outlets to help tell their stories makes that impact with kids. And
Well, if you ever need a guest virtual co-host, I would virtual dairy or giving a virtual dairy farm tour. That would be so much fun. It's not easy.
No, it's not. It's a lot of hard work, a lot of determination, a lot of dedication. blood, sweat, and tears go into everything.
Yeah. If you know a farmer, you know that it's not easy, but it's like one of those definitely underpraised career choices. And so in a world where it would just be easier to go do something else, like it would definitely be easier to, I don't know, go work in an office somewhere. Why continue to grow a dairy farm?
Because I love what I do. I mean, that's it. I love what I do. I love the satisfaction of working with the animals and getting to watch that generation of, like, whether it be a line of cows, a cow family, or whatever. And then also the fact that my children get to grow up on the dairy. I love watching their curiosity, and when they complete a task, if they do chores or something like that, and the pride they take into it, I love it. But also when we do have like on farm tours, we have one that we've been hosting for, it's about 3 years now. We have a middle schoolers come out, they're 6th graders. And after we get thank you cards, and that is just like so amazing to read through all of them. There's 350 kids that come out, never been on a farm. They come out and they're like, I can't believe the hard work, and our vet's there. I mean, they get to hear a whole bunch of different stories, but I just love the satisfaction of, producing this great product and watching my children grow on the farm.
I baled hay for like one week a summer. I would bale hay with my uncle who owned a farm, and I played football and all this, and it's like it's like the hardest work. It's one of the hardest work.
Yeah.
It's like right comparable. Like you like CrossFit, like go bale hay. Like
Yeah.
you'll do the same workout except for you're wearing jeans and a long sleeve shirt or whatever. And you gotta have your gloves on and and then you're up in the mow and it's like 9 million degrees.
Yeah.
It's like, whew.
Yeah, it's a lot of hard work, but honestly, I kind of treat it like a workout anymore, like anything I have to do. I mean, it's kind of a nice workout.
I do think, as like you talk about thankless jobs, literally everyone in the world consumes an agricultural product 3+ times a day. If you're like me, maybe 4. Who knows? Like, come on. Sometimes you need a midnight snack. And so it's very important. What would you say the biggest misconception about farmers in Indiana is?
Obviously, animal care.
Is this like, and I'm not in the social media, I'm not in dairy TikTok, but is that a thing where people are talking about like the treatment that animals get?
I feel like sometimes there's some misconceptions out there on animal care and a dairy farm. And I mean, we love our animals. I mean, they produce the milk. We're obviously, yes, we're a business. We're going to take care of those animals. But I mean, we just love working with them every day. And then also sustainability. We do everything we can to take care of the land. I mean, we are self-sufficient. We grow our corn, which goes to feed the cows, and then we grow hay. That also goes to the cows. I mean, there's all sorts of different things that we do there. And then like using our manure to fertilize the crops and stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, it's just, there's so many different misconceptions. I feel like those are 2 of the biggest ones. And that's what I'm passionate about talking about.
And I feel like a lot of that comes from the videos that you end up seeing are like mega farms.
Yeah.
Where it's like a million. I've driven through Nebraska. Talk about Nebraska.
Yeah.
Dude, I remember coming through Nebraska and just be like, I thought Indiana had a ton of cows. And like, I don't know what that road, the main highway is.
I-80.
I-80.
Yeah.
And it's like literally more cows than I'd ever seen in my entire life.
But isn't it the best?
It's something.
It's the good life.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
That's fair. But it's like, I think you see like, and it's like in a world where one thing can go viral, and it's like one dummy's decisions or like mistreatment can like affect a perspective of an entire organization.
Yes.
When it's like, I've been on 11 farms in my life, probably. Out of all those 11, it's like the family farmer, like they're not, I don't know, and I'm not going to speak for everything. I don't know everything, but it's like, I would encourage people who maybe see one side of things and just start to like become keyboard warriors to also like go spend time on farms.
Yeah.
Especially across the state of Indiana. There's 700 of them. If you started now, you could probably visit, well, you probably wouldn't. Some people, you're a little more private, but you could go visit some of these farms. Like, I feel like if you talk to farmers or get to know them and like go spend time at the local coffee shop where Old Man Smith has been for the last 35 years and say, hey, I would actually agree if someone sees this clip, go there and try to get on a farm and like get a tour from a 3rd generation farmer. Like that would be pretty interesting because it does seem like one, which is why I love the like rise of farm content. We were talking about Jackson.
Yeah.
A little boy, little John Deere guy. Oh, he's the best. But like people are showing this side of farming and like the positive side of it and all the cool things in the family farm. And I think that's important because again, like one bad apple can misconstrue the entire, you know, industry. When it comes to like your favorite stories to tell, like absolute number one, like the coolest dairy stories in Indiana, what's been like the number one?
Probably the experiences that people have on farms. You know, it's fun for us to see people's reaction when they first step onto a farm, when they see like what's actually happening on a dairy farm, when they talk to the farmer. We've been fortunate enough to have, you know, Doug Bowles was on the farm once, and he showed up in his like beautiful blue suit, just as Doug does. And so it was fun to see him like go down in the milking parlor, and you know, all of us were kind of hesitant of like, you don't know what you're going to get on your suit. But, you know, to
I
see.
mean, if Doug ever wants to get out of the racing business, he could be like the president, the governor.
Yes.
He could literally, like, he is the best.
Yes, but like anytime we would want Doug on a farm, he will be there, and that's so cool for us to see that support and for him to you know talk about it.
He'll pull up in the pace car.
He did.
Right? Yeah, of course.
He
right?
let the farmer's son drive it, who didn't have a license at the time. He does now, so I feel like I can tell this story.
Yeah, he's got a license.
But that was really cool for us.
That's the thing, though, right? If you're driving for farm purposes, like you could drive. That's the thing. I think there's like a law there, like deep in the books.
Yeah.
So it was for farm purposes.
It was for farm purposes. Joseph Newgarden went to a farm a few years back, and that farmer ended up being the farmer in Victory Circle the first time Joseph Newgarden won the Indy 500. And Joseph saw him, like, you know, because what are the odds, right? Like you have an IndyCar driver on a farm, that farmer ends up handing out the milk when you've just won the Indy 500. And Joseph locked eyes with him and said, "I've been on your farm," like in this moment of victory, you know. And so those are the really cool stories.
That's wild that he remembered that.
Yeah. And then we've had, you know, just the fun things that happen, like when Elio won the Indy 500 and he pulls out, somebody hands him this random Ziploc baggie full of pink powder. And he starts pouring that into the milk after he's taken the traditional swig of milk. And like our reactions, I'm so glad I wasn't being videotaped in that moment, because it was like, what is he putting in the milk? And then it was fine. He just wanted to turn it pink because his driver's suit was pink that year. When you're in this role, you don't know what's going to happen on a farm or when you're promoting milk, but it's all just like fun, educational, brings more eyes on dairy, which at the end of the day is why we're here.
I agree. Totally why we're here. If there is one way that everyone can support dairy farmers, and it is at the Indiana State Fair.
Yeah.
At the dairy bar.
That's right.
Have you both spent time working the dairy bar?
Absolutely.
Okay, so for people that may not have been to the state fair, or what's the sales pitch to go and support y'all?
If you have not been to the Indiana Farmers Dairy Bar since 1941, you have to come and see us.
It's almost like you're a trained media communications professional since 1941.
I feel like you just go to the state fair for the ice cream, or at least we do.
Most people come for the grilled cheese and milkshakes.
Yes.
Every year we sell
Which is like not a traditional, it's a milkshake, but it's not a milkshake. Like you don't drink it with a straw.
Way too thick to drink with a straw, for sure.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah, every year we sell about 70,000 milkshakes during the run of the Indiana State Fair, and we sell about 40,000 grilled cheese sandwiches. But this last year we sold almost 10,000 glasses of milk at the Indiana Dairy Bar too.
Just straight milk?
Yeah, because we fill, so you can fill baby bottles and sippy cups for free. So yeah, we always... It's one of those points where it's like, if you want to support local, come to the Indiana State Fair, of course, but come to the dairy bar because all the products are local Indiana products.
Yeah, like where do you get the milk for the ice cream?
So that's a Prairie Farms product. So again, local, coming from a dairy farm within probably 150 miles from the dairy bar, all Prairie Farms. And then local cheeses, we usually try and grab. We have an Indiana cheese guide. So there are local processors that are making cheese. So we try and get cheese from local companies. Last year, even like the dip was a Red Gold product. So we try to keep everything local.
Follow the cheddar brick road.
That's right.
Yes, this is legendary. Heritage. Wow, this is like incredible.
Yeah.
There's like a trail, the cheese trail.
Yeah, you're welcome.
There's flavors.
Yeah.
Right. What are your guys' favorite flavors at the dairy bar?
Well, so every year we have vanilla strawberry chocolate milkshake, and then we have a rotating flavor. And then we have hand dipped ice cream as well. And the most popular is going to be butter pecan, which seems odd. Very popular.
Actually, I used to talk smack about butter pecan, but it's because I'd never had it.
Yeah.
Because it was like it goes around the table and like at the restaurant, Grandpa orders like a butter pecan, and I'm like not doing that. And then I finally had it one time.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty good.
But we still, cookie dough mousse tracks. That's another one that's really popular.
Wait, but like that's not the milkshake. Is that the hand dipped?
And that's the hand dip.
But what about milkshake? Is there?
So we do a different one. The most popular the last couple years was the Thin Mint. We partnered with the Girl Scouts of Central Indiana for a Thin Mint cookie milkshake. But we've done a birthday cake, s'more, peanut butter, lemon, blueberry was very popular last year.
Blueberries. I had blueberry last year, I think.
Yep.
Hear me out.
Yes.
So then at the county fairs, are those also like a similar, or is it different?
It's different. So our organization is the only one that runs. Like we just have the dairy bar at the state fair.
Who would it be, like the local organization?
Probably. I
I
don't
feel
know.
like every county fair has like the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, I know they rotate flavors and stuff there. At least at Noble County Fair they do, but I usually go to Whitley County's fair and I like the raspberry lemon twist.
Oh, thank you.
Is that a milkshake?
Is that what you
It's the raspberry cheesecake. Oh, so for me, it's the raspberry cheesecake.
As a milkshake?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
I think that sometimes at the smaller county fairs, they get a little more adventurous with the flavors.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the partnership with Girl Scouts is amazing. And I don't think Thin Mint was there the day I was there because it's a rotating flavor.
So we have whatever the flavor is, it's there for the duration of that fair.
Oh, so what's the one for this year?
I can't tell you yet.
Wait, what? We can't break news on this?
No.
Is it raspberry cheesecake? Can there be like a special, like Nate will come in and buy 10 gallons
But
of
I
this?
will take that into consideration because I may or may not be on the committee that decides what the milkshake flavor is.
So let's talk here. This committee, are they predominantly made up of Central Indiana individuals?
It's predominantly just our office.
Okay, so I
Yeah.
and
He's
I think
volunteering to come test it.
I think one, if you need a member there, I think that we might need to take the office to like some of the extensive, like the reaches in those counties.
I love the idea.
And you could taste some different, and then maybe it'd be a contest.
Yeah.
Of like, hey, Marshall County, hey, Noble County, hey, Whitley County, submit your flavor. If we choose this is going to be the rotating flavor of the Indiana State Fair.
It's a great idea.
Yeah.
I'm an idea guy. I'm not necessarily execution when it comes to this one, but but the raspberry cheesecake.
We haven't done a cheesecake flavored milkshake. So
I mean, I already go to the fair. I'm like, I love it, but I would like go multiple times because I love the raspberry cheesecake. Amazing. Okay, sorry, that's my tangent. The other thing, if someone wanted to procure 100 to 200 cartons of milk, where would you do that at?
I mean, you would contact us and I would find those cartons for you.
Okay, so let me just.
Are you going to build something?
Let me just put out a live idea here. This is a live pitch on the podcast. So for the Indy 500 this year,
Yes.
we're doing something super special. We're hosting an all Indiana tailgate.
Okay.
And I'm giving away $2,000 in cash in the infield of the Indy 500.
Okay.
So last year I was the first truck in. I got there at like 10:30 p.m. the night before. Like it was like we had Indiana breweries and we had coffee from Indiana, like all this. Well, not actually, but like a local coffee shop. I was like, how do we do it even bigger this year?
Yeah.
I was like, you know what people love? Cash. So we're doing a giant wheel.
Okay.
Like a prize wheel. And one little sliver of it is like you win $2,000. And like we'll have like the whole like thing. It's gonna be awesome. We're gonna make a video. It's gonna be fun. Like, if you look through a lot of videos of the Indy 500, it's like too far, like crazy. You know, like people getting wasted and all this stuff. Like we want people to have fun, do all this stuff, but like we're a professional podcast here.
Yeah.
So I was like, what's even like worse than having to like chug a beer in the middle of the Indy 500 would be winners drink milk. So around the wheel, there's going to be different like prizes, and one of them is winners drink milk, and I need to get my hands on cartons of milk.
Okay.
For people that don't win the $2,000.
Okay.
So it's like there's an off chance. It's like 95 degrees. We have our cooler full of milk.
Yeah.
And people have to drink milk.
I like it.
I
You
do
know, this
too.
year is going to be the first year that you can actually buy milk at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
But that was my idea.
But I can probably make a connection.
Can we make him? I need a milk guy. And you know what I'm looking for is
Yeah.
like one of those old school like milk coolers.
Uh-huh.
Because I'm like, I don't want to give people like 90-degree milk. Like I gotta have chilled milk.
You know what? I could probably even get you some Winners Drink Milk. I have cooler lunch boxes.
Now we're talking. I can just see the video in my head. Everyone like come. Like we're also gonna have like spend 5 minutes in the hot dog suit. Like drink a cold brew of like we have legitimate cold, not like a cold brew, but like a cold brew coffee. So it's just like a fun thing. But everyone's gonna come because they want to win $2,000, but they're gonna end up enjoying some milk.
Yeah.
All right, there's my live pitch for the
like
round of the show. All right, we're coming to the end of the show. I have a couple fun segments for you as we wrap up here. First one, Abby, what's your favorite piece of machinery to use around the farm?
I would say the skid loader. And I have to kind of use it. I have to bed the cows and bed the calves. So
For those that don't know, it's like a zero-turn lawnmower on steroids.
yes.
Right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
There we go. Brooke, what's your favorite dairy product?
Like I'm in my cottage cheese era.
You could have, like, out of everything, we were like raspberry cheesecake milkshake. You know what I love? Cottage cheese.
Do you like cottage cheese?
I enjoy
It's
cottage
having its moment.
Yeah, but I don't know if I love it more than I love, like, Breyer's ice cream or whatever.
Right.
You know? Like Dairy Queen.
Yeah, I feel like there should be different categories for like your favorite dairy product. Like my favorite sweet dairy product, mint chip ice cream. Like that's my go-to. But like favorite healthy dairy product, cottage cheese. But then I'm also like I love like a Core Power milk, strawberry banana Core Power milk, delicious.
Okay.
26 grams of protein.
Ooh, look at that. Core Power is like going the opposite way. Like they're getting more popular, lots of marketing, all the fun stuff, but they're like real milk.
Yeah.
Where it's like the best marketed milks are like how do you get how does a macadamia produce milk? How does I'd still like to know how my almonds are producing milk. Like I'm not quite sure, but I mean it's not bad, but it does make me wonder about science sometimes. As we keep going, Brooke,
Yeah.
what would you name your cow?
Trying to pull from inspiration from like my 6-year-old daughter, it would probably be like Sparkle or Glitter or something, you know?
Heck yeah.
I was going to say, I named my first cow when I was 4. It was Poppy Seed.
Yeah, that's cute.
That's a really big name.
I know for a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
I know my mom wrote it down. I'm like, man, that does
I
seem
should
like
be
a
better
very
at
big
this.
name.
I have chickens that all have good names, but I'm used to naming chickens. not
Offline,
cows.
ask Brooke about the pecking order with the chickens. Abby, if you could have anyone show up at your farm for a day, who would you bring to your farm?
Kevin Costner.
Oh, good one. That's really good.
That would be fire.
Kevin Costner.
I'll
That
be
would
there.
I say, I
too.
feel like my husband's over here rolling his eyes because he would know. He would know.
I need to visit the farm that day.
Yeah,
I know. I
I'm
feel like
into
he
it.
would be really good. He does the cowboy movies, and I like his movies.
Have you
so.
seen Yellowstone?
I have watched some of it. I haven't watched all of it, but I just like him.
That would have been a good one to add. Like what the farm community's perspective of Yellowstone is, because from the non-farm community, I love it. I think it's so cool.
Yeah.
I'm like, they make farming sexy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, not actually like, but it's like, it makes it seem like so glamorous. And, but obviously like they're fighting bad guys and like doing all this stuff. But it's definitely, that's why I thought you were going with Kevin Costner. He also does a bunch of good cowboy movies too. Yeah. That's a good one. Okay, we've come to the younger years segment. This is brought to you by our friends at Orr Fellowship. They're a great organization here in Indiana, helping develop young business leaders across the state. We're going to start with Brooke. What advice would you give to your 22-year-old self?
I feel like it was advice that I was probably following at 22, and that was just to trust my gut. I went from going to school in Nebraska, coming back to Indianapolis, going back to Kansas to go to grad school, and then coming back to Indiana. And it was just kind of that feeling of like trusting your intuition that you're doing the right thing. And now I feel like I've been at this role for 11 years, and it's all just because it was like, oh, that job looks interesting, you know, and trusting your gut that that's the right one. So
heck yeah, that's really good advice. And kudos to your 22-year-old self for following it, because I don't know if every 22-year-old is doing what they're supposed to do.
It wasn't all, I mean, there was a little mess in there. You're 22, right?
Of course. Abby, what advice would you give to your 22-year-old self?
I would have to say the same thing. I mean, I was married by that time at 22, so trust your gut. I did trust my gut, and I was married.
You were committed at 22. You were committed to being a generational dairy farmer.
Yes, I was.
Look at that.
Yes.
That's like, I mean, good for you guys. That's awesome.
And I feel like never give up. I mean, strive for your dreams. Obviously, I get to hand the milk out, so I feel like that is one of my dreams. So never give up.
And I mean, that is, as far as Indiana dairy farmers go, like that is a really cool experience that, in 11 farmers have gotten to do that. Because they don't ever got to do it twice.
Yeah. COVID kind of threw a wrench into things. So there was one farmer, Jill Huyen from up at Homestead Dairy in Plymouth. She got to do it 2 consecutive
My
years.
grandma was a Huyen from Plymouth, Indiana.
Oh my God.
I think I know that farm. Yeah.
So because she did it, 2020 and like nobody was there. So she did it again in 2021 for her actual year.
We'll count that.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yep.
All right. These are the same 3 questions I ask everyone who sits on the chair. First question, Abby, we'll go over there.
Okay.
What's something the world needs to know about Indiana?
That it is a fantastic state to be a part of. I love being a Hoosier. I love the traditions that Indiana has, and I just love everything about being a Hoosier.
Amazing. Brooke, what's something the world needs to know about Indiana?
I think that there's a lot more here than maybe people realize, that it's no longer the flyover state. I just saw the campaign that Indiana Fever is doing at the airport, that it's like, we're no longer a flyover state, now you know. And it's so true. It's just, there's so much more, I think, in Indiana, growing up here and coming back and raising a family, a lot of possibilities.
There's more than corn in Indiana. There's dairy too. Come on. That should be let's put that on a t-shirt. Okay, we're gonna go back here. Brooke, you get to shed the light on something that more Hoosiers need to know about across the state. What is a hidden gem in Indiana?
Oh gosh, any dairy farm, right? You need to make that step. Just imagine running into a dairy farmer like Abby at the grocery store, right? You've never been to a dairy farm. She's going to welcome you onto her farm with open arms. And I would say majority of the Indiana dairy farm families would. And they're doing great things. Like now we're seeing more farmers that are even bringing their own processing onto their farm, opening up farm stores where you can buy their milk, buy their ice cream, cheese curds. Seeing more of that, and just I think you're going to walk away from every farm that you step onto with an appreciation for what these farmers are doing.
Well spoken.
I was going to say, I can't say, if you ask me, I'm going to say the same thing. Get out to a dairy farm.
I love that. This is your call. Go out, visit a dairy farm. Finally, you guys get to share the love with another Hoosier, someone who's doing big things that we need to know about. This is where we find potential new guests or just someone in a local community that's doing something awesome. Let's go. Abby, who is a Hoosier that we need to keep on our radar? Someone who's doing big things.
Have you heard of the Mapes family?
No.
Arthur Mapes, Indiana, has a state poem, and that was written by Arthur Mapes. And his family's from Kendallville, and they are trying to get his poetry and stuff out there more, and he wrote some great poetry. I would look into that family. I feel like they're doing a lot. I think he's just getting Highway or something like that named off of him here lately. But the Mapes family, they would be good to look into. I feel like they're doing good things. They like the historical stuff of Indiana. I'm into that kind of thing. So I think that would be something interesting.
The state poem of Indiana. Wow. Arthur Mapes.
Yeah. And that poem was written on our farm.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow. In 1963.
Yeah.
Or no, well, it was adopted as the official state poem by the Indiana General.
Yes.
March 11th of 63. Wow. Indiana is a garden where the seeds of peace have grown, where each tree and vine and flower has a beauty all its own.
It's beautiful.
Put that in the Louvre.
And I feel like obviously Indiana Dairy, they're doing good things. I should probably say them too. I mean, sorry, Brooke.
Brooke, your turn. You get to share the love. Who's a Hoosier that we need to keep on our radar? Someone who's doing big things.
I mean, I selfishly want to say like my 6-year-old daughter who just presented at Young Authors Night last night.
Young author. What was the story?
The party turtle and chicken.
Sign me up.
Yeah. I mean, it was pretty amazing. I will say, I don't like one specific Hoosier. I don't know, but I will say, like, to see just the youth in the state of Indiana and the kids that we get to talk to about dairy farming, and just to see how impactful communities are in students' lives. And there's a lot of hope. There's a lot of inspiration, I think, when we get to, do these virtual farm tours and make school visits and bring crazy mascots into schools and to just see the curiosity. And so I would say, who's your students? Who's your kids?
The Young Bucks, that one's for you. Ladies, I appreciate you coming on and sharing your dairy stories and all the insights into dairy farms across Indiana, the history of Winners Drink Milk, the history of just milk at the Indianapolis 500 within the state of Indiana, the innovation and technological advances that dairy farmers across the state are having. Like, I'm fired up. Like, this is really, really cool. The work done. Oh my gosh, I could keep going through. Like, I like to repeat some of the stuff that we learned about. And it's like the dairy bar and how that works at the state fair. Oh my gosh. Buttermilk, 1936.
Yeah.
Like, I love having like random facts. And now I'm going to pull that. Did you know that milk was first drank at the Indianapolis 500 in 1936 and it was buttermilk?
Yeah.
And it was that guy's third victory.
Yeah.
What was his name?
Louis Meyer.
Louis Meyer. Shout out to you, buddy. I appreciate y'all. Keep up the great work. Continue to be an advocate for dairy farmers across the state of Indiana. Continue to be an amazing fourth generation, raising their fifth generation dairy farm up in Noble County. Heck yeah, I appreciate y'all.
Hey, don't forget, winners drink milk.
That's right. Winners drink milk.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Get In. If you like what you heard, make sure you leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. This show is made possible by our friends up at Sweetwater. Whether you're looking to start a podcast or take your content to the next level, click the link in the description to see all of my gear recommendations at sweetwater.com. If you want a behind the scenes look at everything we're doing across the state, make sure you follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Nate Spangle. Thank you so much for listening and being part of what makes the Hoosier State great. We'll see you next time here on Get In.